Welcome to Shadowproof. Evidence first, noise last.
In 2017, the supernatural horror film, It caused a global sensation. In the movie, a clown with a bizarre appearance appears in a small town, bringing terrifying fears and death to the children there. People unite, vowing to destroy that clown. After a fierce battle, he is injured and flees. However, exactly 30 years later, the clown returns to the town, initiating an anti-demon. Viewers likely breathe a sigh of relief. Glad we don't live in a world with a murderous clown. Yet, the case shared today can be considered the real-life version of it. 30 years ago, a clown holding fresh flowers and balloons knocked on the door of a family in Florida, USA. And this unexpected visit became an unforgettable nightmare for the child in that family. The story took place in an affluent neighborhood called Arrow Club in Palm Beach County, Florida. This is one of the famous luxurious areas for American billionaires and also has the highest real estate prices in the US. Here, one often sees various events hosted by celebrities from around the world. The 35th US President Kennedy, the 45th President Trump, and Microsoft founder Bill Gates have all purchased real estate here. In front of many luxurious mansions, there are private planes and runways. It's no exaggeration to say that those living here are either wealthy or nobility. The Warren family, the main characters of today's story, live in this Arrow Club community. The Warren family, the main characters of today's story, reside in the Arrow Club community in Palm Beach County. The homeowners are Michael Warren and his wife, Merlin Warren. In 1972, 22-year-old Merlin married Michael, who was 2 years younger than her. At that time, Merlin had just ended her previous marriage. She and her ex-husband had 2 sons together, Johnny, the elder, and Joe, the younger. After marriage, Michael and Merlin lived a very happy life. Michael was also willing to accept Merlin's 2 sons and treat them as his own. Although they had nothing when they first married, the couple built a wealthy fortune through diligence and effort. They operated a used car dealership, real estate rentals, and various other retail businesses. They even managed to buy their own mansion in the Arrow Club area. Their life was happy and peaceful. However, in 1988, Merlin's elder son, Johnny, unfortunately died in a car accident. Merlin was utterly devastated, becoming gloomy all day. Her marriage with Michael also showed signs of strain. Just 2 years later, this family faced an even greater tragedy. May 26, 1990, was a Saturday around 11 a.m. Merlin was in the kitchen preparing lunch. Her younger son, Joe, was hanging out with friends in the living room. At that moment, the doorbell rang, and Merlin ran to open the door. Before her stood a brightly made-up clown, wearing a wig and a round nose, dressed in colorful attire. The makeup was so heavy that it was impossible to tell if he was a man or a woman. If a clown knocked on your door at midnight, you'd probably be too scared to open it. But it was 11 a.m. in broad daylight, and in a very secure area. The clown held fresh flowers and 2 balloons in hand. "We the greatest." Subconsciously, Merlin thought this must be a surprise gift from someone for her. She smiled to express thanks. But at that moment, from the flower basket, the clown suddenly pulled out a gun, aimed directly at Merlin's face, and pulled the trigger. Hearing a loud bang, Joe, inside, thought it was a balloon popping. Running out, he saw his mother lying on the ground, a pool of blood spraying. Best figure, but due to the heavy makeup, he couldn't. He only managed to notice the clown had brown eyes. Then, the clown jumped into a white Chrysler parked in front of the house and sped away. Joe quickly drove after him but soon lost track. Only then did he remember to call the police. Fortunately, the neighbor named Kramer, who was walking his dog at the time, heard the gunshot. A friend of Joe ran out of the house, panicking, saying a clown had shot Joe's lover. Mr. Kramer immediately called the police, and Merlin was taken to the hospital. But 2 days later, she unfortunately passed away. For Joe, that day was undoubtedly the worst day of his life. The clown is definitely the murderer, And from then on, the clown became the biggest nightmare of Val's life. But who is this clown helping? Who could have such a deep grudge against Merlin? When alive, Merlin was very friendly, often helped others, and never made enemies of anyone. Neighbors and colleagues of the company all had very positive evaluations of her. The police also couldn't imagine Merlin might have had a grudge against. At this moment, Merlin's parents provided an extremely important clue. Merlin's whole family liked the clown image. In Merlin's family home, there was a clown mural painted on the wall. When Merlin was over 10 years old, she even painted a clown mural by hand that looked as vivid as real. This coincidence is truly astonishing. A greater possibility is that the murderer might have known that Merlin had a special affection for clowns. If disguised as a clown to knock on the door, Merlin would definitely open it. And moreover, would not be suspicious at all. In other words, the murderer could be someone familiar around Merlin. Therefore, the suspect that the police paid the most attention to was none other than Michael. In fact, not long before the incident occurred, Merlin and Michael's marriage was already on the verge of collapse. At this point, we mentioned that after Merlin's son, Johnny, died in an accident, Merlin and her husband's marriage had developed cracks. Not long after, Merlin even suspected her husband of having it. At that time, she mentioned divorce to Michael, but Michael firmly refused. The reason for his refusal was not that he still had feelings for her, but rather the division of assets in the divorce. When they first got married, Merlin and Michael started with nothing. Over the years, their career was built by both of them together. Many assets were registered under Merlin's. Moreover, Merlin had a very high life insurance policy. If following the normal divorce procedure, Merlin would get at least half of the assets. But if Merlin were to pass away from this world, then Michael could possess all of their assets. More importantly, not long before the incident occurred, Merlin once told her parents that if anything happened to her, it must have been done by Michael. The police quickly interrogated Michael, but he provided a solid alibi. At that time, he was with friends horse racing in Miami, over 100 kilometers away, basically having no time to commit the crime. If Michael didn't commit the crime directly, could he have instigated someone else to do it? Afterwards, the police shifted their focus to Michael's lover, Scylla Keene. At the time of the incident, Scylla, 27 years old, was Michael's business partner in a used car, responsible for purchasing used cars. Due to their close working relationship and frequent interaction, the two secretly developed feelings for each other. At that time, Scylla was also married. Her husband was a member of a band. Friends around knew that Scylla was very money hungry. He satisfy his wife. But Michael could. Although during the interrogation process, both Michael and Scylla strongly deny having an improper relationship. However, the police discovered that Michael had rented a luxury apartment, and he himself frequently stayed overnight there, leading the surrounding neighbors to believe they were a married couple. Employees of the company also recounted that they had seen Michael and Scylla engaging in ambiguous behavior. Additionally, the police followed clues such as fresh flowers, balloons, and costumes left by the clown at the door for investigation, and made some noteworthy discoveries. One of these revealed that, one day before the incident occurred, they had served a very suspicious customer. That evening, they were cleaning out to prepare to close the shop. A woman in her 20s suddenly knocked on the door and said she needed a costume to dress up as a clown. The shop owner, Mrs. Deborah, asked if she could come back tomorrow, but the woman replied, "No, I absolutely must buy it today. If it were the night before Halloween and urgent for a party." Preparing a clown costume would be understandable, but it was May at the time. So why was this customer in such a hurry to buy a clown costume? According to the shop owner's account, this customer bought a complete clown costume, from the wig to the outfit, makeup, even a distinctive large clown nose. This customer's height was about 1.72 meters, had brown eyes, long chocolate brown, wore a shirt and looked quite relaxed. Paid in cash. I estimated about 5 feet 8 inches, brown eyes, chocolate brown hair, wearing a shirt and looking relaxed. When the police showed Scylla's photo to the shop owner and asked if this was the person who bought the clown, both the shop owner and her husband confirmed without hesitation that it was indeed her. The two balloons left by the clown at the Berlin family's villa door were also very set. On one of the two balloons was written, "You are the greatest." And this type of balloon in Palm Beach County was sold only at one specific grocery store. The description of the customer who bought the balloon completely matched Scylla's appearance. Sometime later, the police found the white Chrysler driven by the clown, abandoned in a parking lot. About 13 kilometers from the crime scene. Upon investigation, this car had been reported stolen just before the incident occurred, and the place from which it was stolen was the old parking lot that Michael was managing. Inside the white car, the police discovered 1. Some artificial wig fiber, 2. And there was also a chocolate-colored 3. These were extremely important. 4. But nothing more could be done because DNA testing technology at that time. 5. The police compared the hair found in the car with Scylla's hair. 6. But only concluded that it was 7. Most importantly, the murder weapon, the gun, was still not found. 8. One point that posed a major 9 was that the white Chrysler had been stolen during the investigation. S residence in Haddon. 11. On the very night the police searched Scylla's apartment, the car was stolen from the parking lot. 12. The police strongly suspected this was done by Michael. 13. But unfortunately, no at 14. However, by this point, the police were almost certain the case was related to Michael. 15. During the investigation, the police also discovered that Michael's used car business involved many illegal activities. 16. Specifically, Michael had rolled back the odometers of used cars to sell them at higher prices. If we can. 18. The police charged Michael with over 30 counts of fraud and theft, seeking a sentence of 237 years in prison. 19. Such a sentence for fraud and theft was excessively heavy. 20. During the trial, the judge considered the prosecutor's indictment unreasonable. 21. Finally, in 1994, Michael was sentenced to 95 years in prison. 22. After serving 3 years, he was paroled in 1997. 23. By this time, all clues in the clown murder case had gone cold. 24. The police found no murder weapon, no evidence, and couldn't even prove whether Michael and Scylla were actually having an affair. 25. It wasn't until 27 years later, in 2017. 26. In 2017, the local newspaper in Florida took notice of the unsolved murder case from over 20 years earlier. 27. During their investigation, they discovered a 28. In 2000, Scylla divorced her husband who had been a member of the 29. And in 2002, she married Michael Warden. 30. They held a small wedding in Las Vegas, then moved to Virginia, started a new life, and opened a restaurant called Purple Cow, reportedly doing very well. 31. As for Scylla, she even completely changed. 32. She dyed her hair blonde, changed her name to Debbie Warden, seemingly determined to cut. 33. In the eyes of neighbors, Scylla and Michael were a normal, loving young couple. 34. No one suspected that these two had ever been involved in the death of Michael's ex-wife. 35. Meanwhile, Joe, the youngest son of the victim, Merlin, had been drowning in grief over losing his mother for over foot. S parents also believed their daughter. 37. Media attention in Palm Beach drew police attention, and the case was reopened for investigation. 38. Compared to the 90s, DNA testing technology today has made significant advances. 39. The police retrieved the human hair discovered in the car years ago for re-examination. 40. This time, the results showed that the owner of the hair was none other than Scylla. 41. Additionally, Scylla and Michael's marriage indirectly confirmed the rumors of the past affair. 42. On September 27, 2017, the police officially arrested Scylla for first-degree murder. 43. At that time, she and Michael had just sold the restaurant, moved to a suburban villa, perhaps preparing to enjoy their retirement. 44. When arrested, Scylla appeared very calm. 45. In contrast, Michael, who was with her, became agitated and told the police they had. 46. Not long after Scylla's arrest, a man named John Moran came to the police and said, 47. That he knew where the most important evidence of the case, the gun and the clown costume, was located. 48. John Moran's father was also named John Moran. 49. Here, we will refer to them as Moran Sr. 50. Moran Sr. had been an employee at a used car dealership owned by Michael Wooden, and before his death, he revealed a secret to his son. He said, not long before the incident occurred, since the end of 1989, he had heard the boss complain about the matter. Want to escape from the wife now being Mrs. Merlin. I even heard Michael say that he wished he had never married that bitch. Mr. Johnson said that, in fact, at the time the incident occurred, the perpetrator had used two. One is a white Chrysler car, found by the police. This car was abandoned in the middle of the road by the perpetrator. Then, the groom crashed another car to flee. And on that vehicle, there was a lot of evidence, including the clown's costume and gun. Mr. Johnson often helps Michael with some dirty work. For example, changing the odometer, and this time it's dealing with a car used in a crime. Mr. Dansha, following instructions, drove the car into a canal near Palm. Only just before his death did he decide to reveal his secret. The police set up an ambush at the location John provided. They did retrieve a car, but inside, they couldn't find any evidence related to the case. John indicated that the police had picked up the wrong person. On November 14, this car was not the vehicle involved in the incident as my father had. But no matter what, on November 14, 2017, the prosecution still insists on prosecuting CLA in court, arguing that she should face the death, given the DNA evidence and other key evidence collected by the police. CLA's face remained expressionless and he refused to admit. As for Michael, at this moment, he is shirking responsibility. He said, "If I knew that CLA was indeed involved in the case of my wife's murder, then I definitely wouldn't marry her." In April 2019, the case entered its second death penalty review trial. CLA still refuses to admit guilt. The investigative court has also, to this day, Michael has not been arrested or investigated by the police. Due to the pandemic, the final trial of the case kept being postponed time and time, although this case has not yet reached a final verdict. But both the police and the prosecution have indicated, even if CLA refuses to admit guilt, whether she lives or dies, she will still find it difficult to. For over 30 years, Rao, the son of Merlin, has always lived in the shadow of the name Summer, even countless times being awakened by nightmares. In a recent interview, Rao indicated that, to date, the real culprit has been arrested. Finally, he was gradually able to emerge from that fog. Regarding the matter, what role did Michael play in this case early on? Then the police still need to release more evidence and details of the case. Thank you for watching. If you want, you can subscribe to watch the next videos. Or if you still have time, you can watch more videos from this channel.
If the proof convinced you, subscribe and open the next case.